kick off this very interesting webinar with my special guest, Pedro Batista. Pedro Batista is a very cool guy. Yeah, power to the people. He's a very cool guy. He cuts across 3 continents. He cuts across Africa, art and passion, Europe, Portugal, home country, that you have these 3 amazing continents to be so closely connected to. And of course, your work in football is football development, to be specific, is pretty amazing. Your work as a co-founder and also as a director, founder of MindStats, where you do data analytics, and also the work you do with your co-founders. You do quite a lot in this space, and your work really does cut across different continents. And you spoke so passionately on LinkedIn. Well, you didn't speak. You wrote very passionately, and that was where you caught my attention. You caught my attention because it was clear to me that it's not about money, it's not about fame, it's about development. You are a developmental professional at heart. And that's why we felt at BOS that we aligned fully with your values and what you stand for. And it's a great time to introduce myself. I'm Beverly, and I'm the academic director and founder of Business of Sports Institute Africa. And, we're here to really try and drive change and work and interact and collaborate with amazing people like Pedro Batista. So we're going to start from the top by letting you introduce yourself, because no one does it better than you. And then we're just going to take a walk down your journey. And then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this thing called mindsets. How can we prepare the next generation of African leaders in sport? Because BOS is really about development in Africa. Although, of course, Africans are all over the world, but we're talking strictly about, how do we cross over from the old mindset to the new mindset. So Pedro, I'm so delighted to have you here. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for not just for the invitation, but for this magnificent presenting of myself. I think I'm not that much. But just to introduce myself a little bit. So I am, like you said, my life is a span of 3 continents. Like my father is Portuguese from Portugal. My mom is Brazilian from South America. My girlfriend, now fiance, she's Nigerian from Africa. And I've been living across these 3 continents, and always doing what I love the most, that is working with sports, with football development, mostly football. But just to introduce a little bit about my past, I started my professional career throughout social responsibility projects. I was the project manager of a foundation that in Portugal. That the objective was to integrate kids from tough neighborhoods in the society throughout sports. And then I was really, really, really lucky that the president of this foundation got elected president of Sporting Portugal, what you guys call Sporting Lisbon, but the real name in Portugal. And he invited me to become the director of Sporting Social Foundation. And of course I said yes, and that was also an amazing journey. Then during my period in Sporting, first in the foundation, we did really cool projects. We created the European Multisport Club Association, where we joined forces with other multi-sport clubs in Europe to promote social integration throughout sports and promote healthy lifestyle. It was really projects that we were able to do together. Then I got the chance to become assistant of the CEO of Sporting. and I accepted the challenge and the opportunity. And my main responsibility was to oversee Sporting Academy. That is one of the best youth football academies in the world, the only one that has generated two FIFA best players in the world, like Ronaldo and Figo. And I was really lucky to be involved in all this system that is, for me, one of the best in the world. During this period in Sporting, because I was speaking well English and I was good with people, so they invited me to be the liaison officer between Sporting and UEFA. So in Champions League games and the Europa League games, I was the one in charge of connecting the delegates with the whole structure of the match operations. They 1 to day plus 1. And it was also a really cool experience to understand how this big events from Champions League, Europa League. I did a lot of television also during my period in Sporting. I went on TV speaking about sport, about football. And during this period in Sporting, I ended up meeting Emmanuel Amunike, former Nigerian Super Eagle. He played for Sporting, he played for Barcelona. I became a really close friend with one of his brothers, that is Amunike, the younger brother. Kingsley also played football, not at the same level of Emmanuel. Kingsley was always inviting me to go to Nigeria. Pedro, you have to go to Nigeria where there's potential to be done. We need people like you, blah, blah, blah. And my father is Portuguese, my mom is Brazilian, but they met each other in Africa.
Oh, amazing.
So I grew up listening a lot of stories about Africa, how cool it is, how amazing the people are, how great experience. And I was born because of Africa. They met each other in Africa.
Amazing.
I always had this thing calling me back to Africa. And one of these times I accepted Kingsley challenge and I went to Nigeria. And I ended up staying there 3 years. I lived there 3 years. I worked there 3 years. I was working with the state government in the north of Nigeria, helping them develop sports programs and mostly football programs. And we created from scratch the Kebbi State Football Academy. That was an academy that was welcoming kids from 8 years old to under 21 years old for free. The kids didn't have to pay nothing to be part of the academy. We also helped with the first team that the national team that the state was sponsoring. During this period, I was also helping Kingsley own academy in the south of Nigeria, in Akwa Ibom. Spending so much time in Nigeria, I ended up meeting my girlfriend, now fiance. She's Nigerian from Wari, Delta State. And I ended up, like I said, 3 years in Nigeria. I visited a lot of places. I went to Kaduna, Kano, Nasarawa, Sokoto, Akwa Ibom, Abuja, Lagos.
Wow.
You are in Lagos right now, right?
I am, yeah. I'm in Lagos, yeah.
Something that I found amazing is that most people in Lagos don't know that Lagos comes from a Portuguese name.
Yes, I know that. I know, but many don't know. Yes.
Yeah, because they live their whole lives in Lagos and they don't know it's a Portuguese name.
They don't know it's Portuguese. Yeah.
Portuguese city. And it was funny that like a couple months ago, I took Vera, my Nigerian fiance, to the original Lagos here in Portugal. That is a city in the south of Portugal, in Algarve.
Okay.
But like I said, so I spent a lot of time in Nigeria. I fell in love with the country, with the people. I met amazing people, and that's where I saw the amazing potential, the amazing passion that people have for sports, not just for sports, but for everything, for business, but also the major obstacles and adversities and problems that is still preventing Nigeria to feel their full potential. And that's kind of what led me to write that article that you read.
Yes.
It wasn't even supposed to be an article. I was just writing like for myself as a rant, like because I was upset because I received an invitation to go to Nigeria on a scouting trip. And man, I've been advocating to my friends, to the people I know all the time against this. Man, stop this. It's a waste of time, waste of money. Yeah. Don't do this. And I started to write to myself like a rant, upset. But then things started to align, and well, this is becoming pretty cool. Maybe I should do something with this. And and publishing, and it was really cool to see that a lot of people. It was not a surprise because I know Nigeria is full of amazing people and tremendous people, but a lot of people shout, including you, saying, "Pedro, I really feel the same. We really need to do something about." And you are one of the persons that are actually doing something about this, because the main solution for all the problems there are, not just in Nigeria, but in the whole world, in Portugal as well, in Brazil as well, it's education. Education is the source solution for all problems.
For all problems, absolutely.
So a place like BOS, Africa, is the perfect place to start finding solutions for the problems that Nigeria is facing. And I am sure that with the talent that I've seen in Nigeria, from north to south, from east to west, if they have access to proper education, I'm sure the destiny of Nigeria is a tremendous one. It's going to be great, I'm sure.
I mean, what a wonderful, powerful.
Just to conclude everything, so we get this out of the way. Then after Nigeria, I had the opportunity to work for 1 year in Egypt because, like I also said in article, one of the biggest problems in Nigeria is short-term thinking. So in Kebbi, they had elections, they changed governor, new everything, and we stopped our project in Kebbi. And I am one of the kids that were developed in our academy in Kebbi. He signed for a club in Egypt, MP Club. I ended up developing a cool relationship with them, and when I stopped this project in Nigeria, they invited me to go to Egypt, to Cairo. I ended up staying around 1 year in Egypt, and it was also an amazing experience. They have also a lot of talent. They have a lot more and better infrastructures than Nigeria, but still they are not fulfilling their full potential. Why? Education. They lack the education. They need more coaches better educated, more directors better educated, more politicians better educated, more fans better educated, so they can full potential of the talent they have and even the infrastructures they have, because they have the talent, they have the infrastructure, somehow they're also not reaching their full potential. And once again, education for me, it's the source of all these problems that we are facing. Then after Egypt, I had the opportunity to join My Game Plan. That is a company, a startup that is doing an amazing job. We are helping clubs with their scouting departments, with their analysis performance departments, and we are helping them structure their data, their football data. We are working with clubs in Europe, South America, Africa, Asia as well. We signed our first club in Saudi Arabia a couple of months ago.
Wow, congrats.
And so it's really proud of the work we have been doing, and I'm also learning a lot because we are working now with top clubs in all these countries, first divisions. Then throughout my experience in My Game Plan works mainly with event data, tracking data, and video. So I realized that all the clubs, even the best clubs in the world, they are working very well in terms of technical methodology. They are working very well in terms of tactical methodology and programs and softwares. They are working very well in terms of physical preparation with very good programs, well studied and everything in detail. Almost nobody is doing a proper job in terms of the mental performance. And I believe that could be, and I really believe this is the next big frontier in elite sports, that is the mental performance. And throughout my life, I ended up becoming a really cool friend with a Portuguese scientist, that is Carlos Martins. Carlos, he worked in the NFL, in the US, in the NBA, in the MLB, the baseball league. Then he did the transition to soccer, to football in Europe. He worked with the 3 clubs in La Liga, 1 club in France, and always in the psychological department. He studied mathematics and psychology. And he ended up developing some really cool algorithms that feeds on match data and gives us very important insights in terms of mental performance indicators. And in conversation with him, with his experience, in conversation with my experience as well, we end up coming with the idea to create MindStats, that we believe is the first AI software that is providing mental performance insights based on real match competition. It's not just on questionnaires, on how did you sleep, how food, or because the way I look at you, you look this or that. It's really based on match data, match competition data, that they created these algorithms that are giving us really good insights. And so far, the feedback has been pretty cool. So this is a little bit of what I've been doing so far.
A little. It's amazing. This is not a little. It's a glimpse, but it's so fascinating, Pedro. Fascinating from your humbler beginnings and the trajectory, and in every aspect of your life that you've talked about, I see the passion for people coming out. From Sporting Portugal, and the fact that you were interested in performance, and they created that space for you to move into another area, and then from there you just kept moving, and your mindset really comes out, and shows how much it's played a big part of your success in your career. I like the fact that you also are so focused on the mental aspect, which a lot of people miss out on. I feel like sport is one of those areas that we often commoditize human beings. We forget that they are people, and I like that you are focused a lot on the mental aspect. And my game plan, is working in that area to develop players, athletes, not just their physical, but their mental. And you don't hear much of this type of talk on the African continent. So that brings me to the question, how do we leap from where we are currently? You talked about education being the answer and solution to many of the problems that we are experiencing in this industry. And I will refer to the sports industry as a whole, so that people who are not into football can follow this conversation. Is there anything you did in particular to have this type of mindset? Were you deliberate about developing your mind, or are you just that type of person? Because some people might say, oh, I'm not interested in mindset. I just want these players to get on the field, do their work and leave. I don't have time for mindset. How do you convince your clients that mindset is actually, if not more important than the physical attributes?
Now, first of all, I was really lucky to be born into an amazing family, a father and mom that loves me, and that is the bedrock for most of who I am and what I do with my life. And then that was not all, because a lot of the time, most of our time, we don't spend in the house, we spend in school, we spend in work. So that's why it's important that schools, education, again, because we spend most of our day in school and not so much in the house. So it's important that the schools are well structured, the professors are well trained, are well motivated, well paid, so they can do a good job. So then again, education, for me, it's the bedrock of everything. And one thing but I was not always like this. So I've been a product of evolution. And just so I can give you an example, in my article, I say stop these one-show events, one showcase events. But the very first time I went to Nigeria was in an event like that. So I wasn't.
No,
It was to a scouting event, one turn, but that's also what made me understood how wrong that was.
exactly.
I've been there, I've done that, and I've seen the waste of money that is. And then regarding what the solution for this might be, I believe, like you said, first of all, education, education, education. We can't stress and talk enough about this. But
Yes,
so part of the work that, for example, we do with my game plan, I think it's also extremely important. That is the identity. What we do, and that can be translated to everything, to all businesses, to politics, to
very true. Very
what
true.
we do in my game plan is we help clubs understand what their identity is, and we help them measuring their identity and make it measurable, create KPIs. So, for example, I'm going to give you an example, but all this can be translated to
other industries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, we are working with a club in Spain. The club will, of course, on their own define who they are and what they want to be, but then they need to create the game model. They need to create the positional profiles. They need to create the individual development plans. And and what we help them do is make all this measurable. For example, you cannot create a game model if you don't understand the characteristics of the league.
Very true.
And you cannot create a game model if you don't understand also what other clubs in the past did, what kind of performance they did, what kind of strategies they followed to achieve the objectives that you want to achieve in the future. So we study the characteristics of the league, we study the characteristics of the teams that achieved the objectives that you want to achieve in the past. And then we make a game model that is with KPIs that help you measure if you are in line to achieve that or not. The individual player profiles. So we will build what we want for a striker, what we want for our left wing, what we want for our right wing, for our right back, for our midfielder. And all these KPIs that will be defined will be based on the game model, that is based on the characteristics of the league, that is based also on the objectives of the club. And then on top of this, we'll develop the individual development plans, because you have your own positional profile, but still we need to create your individual development plan so the player grows in line with our game model, with our positional profile, with the objectives that we have. And all this, we help make it measurable, make it clear from the president to the coach, to the player. And this helps if everybody understands where they are, what they want to be, how they should be doing what they and if they agree with it, because you must understand and you must agree, you must understand. And all this makes it clear. If it's clear, you know what you are doing, you are more motivated. And one step after the other, you will improve, and you will create a sustainable development. And actually, should be applied to all areas, to politics, to business, music,
everything.
Understand who you are, understand the characteristics of the environment you are. But you cannot do a proper diagnosis and even less good recipe if you don't get educated first.
Thank you. You hit the nail on the head. You've said a lot of things, and it all boils down to competence, expertise, because in fact, diagnosing the problem is the starting point. You talked about diagnosing the problem, evaluating it, creating the map. You use, your company is called Mind Map. That says a lot. It means you're able to navigate from point A to B, the starting point, and that's the final point, or the continuous goal of excellence that you're trying to get to. Now, Pedro, that type of person, that type of football executive, sports development executive that understands all these things, that has the competence, has the skills, it boils down to education, right? So why, if the answer is so simple, why is there such a huge gap? If the answer is as simple as it's just education, if you want to be like Pedro, so I mean, you may not be able to get the special features of Pedro, 3 continents and his charisma, but you can aim to be as educated as Pedro, right? So I guess the question I now have is, if someone wanted to be like you, they looked up to you, they wanted to work in that developmental type of role, where would they begin to get the skills? I think the important thing is, okay, we've identified that you need deep skills. Where do you get those skills from? Where did you, what was your education journey like?
Well, like I said, I'm very privileged that I grew up with everything I needed.
Okay.
I went to a private school, but I'm not the best example. It would be a crime for me not to be successful with all the help I had around me.
That you received. Yeah.
And even the luck I had with the fact that the president of the foundation of my first job got elected president of Sporting Portugal.
Yes,
so it's not like I was very lucky. Like I was very lucky. I was just born in the right place
at the right time.
The first job was the first position, perfect timing and everything. So my journey might not be the best example, but I'm going to give you examples of people that in the middle of nowhere with nothing in Nigeria become very successful at what they do. For example, a guy that I don't know if you have been to Kebbi. Have you been to Kebbi?
Never.
It's in the middle of with all respect, but it's a middle of nowhere with very little going on in terms of business, in terms of culture, in terms of infrastructure. But and there's a lot of problems in Kebbi. Let's put it like this. I met this guy that was Awal. Awal is an entrepreneur. He was from Kebbi, and like most young kids, what they want to do is get out of Kebbi, go to Abuja, go to Lagos.
The biggest cities.
So where they can get opportunities. But what Awal did, he created Kebbi Innovation Hub in the middle of nowhere. It's like
fantastic.
You see very poor constructed houses, almost looks like a slum, but then in the middle of nowhere, Kebbi Innovation Hub. Like, and you enter Kebbi Innovation Hub, it's like a mini Google. Like you had the places where they do their speeches, you had the place where they play games, to distract and have fun, and then you have the rooms where they can give lessons.
Workspaces.
And it's little by little the community starts to engage. Kebbi is mostly Muslim, and you see Kebbi Muslim women getting in there, getting educated, learning how to use computers.
Nice.
Every now and then he had like speeches speaking about climate change, awareness for climate change. And Kebbi has been suffering a lot from this because of the floods and everything. But people, because they're not educated, they don't relate things, and they just it's just a flood or it's the gods or whatever. So it's amazing what this guy in the middle of nowhere was able to do. And he was not born in a fancy place.
Wealth or anything.
He built it from nothing, in nowhere. He built something really cool. Another example, also from Kebbi, this guy that is Mahmoud. Mahmoud, like again, if you know Kebbi, they don't have beaches, they don't have a lot of infrastructure.
It's landlocked.
Mahmoud managed to build somehow the best Africa beach soccer team in Kebbi and develop the best Africa beach soccer team in Kebbi.
Sorry, there's no beach in Kebbi. I know
no
this
beach.
is landlocked, but he has the best Africa beach soccer team.
It somehow developed this in the whole race course, horse race course.
Did he bring sand?
He brings sand. He brings everything. And somehow he over the years he managed this team to become the best in Africa. Now and the community got passionate about beach soccer. Every now and then, it brings the best beach soccer in Nigeria to Kebbi. Big events, people love it. The kids in Kebbi, they grew with hopes that, okay, maybe Kebbi can do something big, can be something big. We are not just the poor guys in the north, because they are beating teams from all over Nigeria, and they are beating teams from Africa, and even representing Africa in a competition in Turkey or something. It was really, really. Now Mahmoud, I think he got elected president of the Beach Soccer Africa Association. But I think the biggest, when it all started, was this Kebbi project in the middle of nowhere against all odds. Other examples,
education, a dream, just persistence. Like that is a beautiful story.
Because, I'm giving these examples, and I have a couple more to give, because what can trigger sometimes somebody to get educated and to make a difference is to have a role model. And a role model. I don't think I can be a role model, because I was privileged. There was no way.
Pedro, don't say that, because we have a lot of privileged kids in Nigeria. We do. We have in Africa.
But for me, it was a lot more easy. But if you see, if a poor guy, a poor kid in Kebbi, poor kid in Lagos, if they see somebody like them that was not privileged, didn't have access to anything, and still make something big, I think that this can motivate them to get educated first, and then to do something great.
I agree. But remember, Pedro, that's not the single story of Africa. Africa has a growing middle class. So, like you said, there's a lot of people in Lagos that have never been to Kebbi. They can't relate. So don't think that you cannot be a role model. You can be a role model to Africans that have a similar life to you. I went to private school my whole life as well, right? And people always thought that, oh, you don't need to do much. Your father has a big law firm. Just go work there and enjoy your life. But I wanted more. And how did I get into sports? I literally had to educate myself. Nobody made me do that. So I just want you to know that you inspire me, right? And other Africans will be inspired by your story. I'm serious. The African story is not linear. It's not, and that's another thing I want to change with BOS. There's a poverty story that is projected. And I don't blame people thinking it's only poverty in Africa. I'm glad you came to Nigeria so you can see that we have extremes, right? Even though our rich is still not as up to scratch, but we do have extremes of super wealthy in Africa. But a lot of them are not giving back, right? So you do inspire. You've inspired me. How do you think we had this conversation? You inspired Pedro.
Now, but you inspire too, and this is what my next person to that inspired. But sorry, it seems like I'm crying, but I'm just constipated, and when I'm constipated, I start to cry. It's an allergic reaction. I'm not sad; it's just an allergic reaction.
That's so funny.
So this next person, you know better than me for sure. Africa and Nigeria, but Africa as a whole, it's still a very patriotic society.
Absolutely.
Humans are almost teach not to get involved in politics, not to get involved in business, not to get involved not even to dream, aspire to be independent. It's just to get married and serve the family. And this is even more strong in the Muslim North Nigeria.
Yes.
This next person I'm talking about is Rahama Sadao. She's maybe you know her. She's a famous actress in Nigeria. She's also a producer, but she's a Black African Nigerian woman, Muslim woman from the north of Nigeria. So there's a lot of things already against her. Yeah. Still, she built an amazing career as an actress. Then, because of her entrepreneurial spirit, she started to produce her own movies, and now she's a big-time producer as well. She also has productions together with the Indian companies and everything.
Nice.
She created her own foundation. doing a tremendous job with poor kids, mostly in Kaduna, that is where she's from. She's supporting her family achieve their dreams. For example, one of her sisters, she likes to cook. She created a restaurant for her. She had a brother that loves football. She sent her brother to UK to study in UK and play football in UK. And she did all this being a woman, being black, being Muslim.
Amazing.
I think, and this is crucial that Nigeria and Africa, but Nigeria brings women to the decision-making process, because I once heard, I think it was a former Mozambique president. He said,
yes,
the greatest untapped resource of Africa are women.
Is the women. Yes, yes.
Because today is scientifically proved that the woman is as capable as a man.
Of course.
And if Africa right now is not using 50% of their brain capacity,
right.
Imagine the potential of Africa when they also use the other half of their potential.
Gender, the other,
women's creativity, women's strength, women's everything. So examples like Rama Sadao, I think, are very good to show women can be independent, women can have their own careers, women can support their family on their own, and also get married and have kids. She got married last year. So it's possible. Even it's necessary. It's not just possible, it's necessary.
It's necessary, yes. Yeah, I love that.
And then another example is Namdi. I think we spoke about Namdi. Namdi is a Nigerian, I think from Lagos too, that he created this tech company, scouting football company, that is probably right now the best in Africa, and even some clubs and academies in Europe are using and paying his academy. And this software was developed in Nigeria by Nigerian developers.
Amazing.
And it's so cool that he's doing stuff that even European developers right now are
can
not
use.
That they cannot even develop something like that. He develop algorithms that, based on video, he can retrieve a lot of data, a lot of statistics, and he's doing this all across Africa and make it available for clubs and agencies.
Amazing.
And in Nigeria, by Nigerians in a different area, technology, doing tremendous job as well. Then, just to finish this role model stuff, I lived in Kebbi a lot of time, and Kebbi is mostly desert. And there was this guy that was Mr. J, that he loved golf, but Kebbi doesn't have any golf course, of course. And he doesn't have the money to build and to put grass because it's very expensive. In Kebbi, it can go 6 months without a single drop of rain.
Wow.
But that didn't prevent him to do something about it. So he created a golf course in the sand, no grass. In the desert, and literally every day, he convinced a lot of people to join. People that never played golf, never trained golf, never. So right now they have like group of 20, 25 people that most of them never played in grass golf.
Brilliant.
But every day, or at least every week, in the desert, in the middle of nowhere.
Brilliant.
But it's amazing people that I met in Nigeria doing amazing stuff against all odds. And I think, and why I'm speaking about this, it's what I told you. I think most of the times what makes you do something is when you get inspired. And most of the time you get inspired by people. And if we see people that from nothing, with nothing, in the middle of nothing, created something so cool, why can't we do it?
Why can't we?
And Nigerians can do it. They have the passion. They have the talent.
You get Zambians, Kenyans, who captivated them. And I know. I think what you're saying about taking nothing, having nothing and creating an ecosystem. Like, I'm blown away by your stories, because I never would have expected to hear about golf becoming popular in Kebbi, golf. I would never have expected to hear about beach soccer. That's like the equivalent of taking a lake to a desert and doing a rowing. You know, it's so positively inspiring to hear these stories. And there's a lot of the popular, you know, the themes around sports, grit, perseverance. But again, I want to ask you something. Apart from the grit, apart from the perseverance, you know, what, like, for instance, the golf is a very technical area. How did he get the support to get the technicalities of golf right? So passion is good, but there's a saying, we say this in Nigeria a lot, that passion doesn't pay the bills. You can only go so far with passion, and then the skills and competence needs to come in. So it'll be interesting to know these examples you gave, particularly the beach soccer guy, Awal, I think, and the golf guy. How did they supplement their lack of knowledge? What happened in that
The
respect?
beach soccer is Mahmoud. Awal is the innovation guy.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
But for example, the more structured and professional, it's clearly the beach soccer. Mahmoud, he got educated, he got outside of Kebbi, and he brought professionals to teach the game. He even brought, even involved at a certain point, a Portuguese former beach soccer player in the process. So of course, education is always source. It's if everything is done well, you will see something related to education in the process. Even because for something to go well, sustainably and long, it must be throughout education, because if not, if you don't educate the locals, if you don't educate, then if the foreign, the expat goes away, everything
crumbles. Yeah.
The secret is always educate people on ground to do different, to do better, so they can teach others and the others can teach others, and that's how sustainability goes. Mahmoud got educated himself outside, he brought people inside to educate others, and then these people start inspiring other kids, these kids starting to be more interested, get involved, and so on. With the golf guy, this is more not so well structured, more of a passion thing, but still, little way, he created a WhatsApp group of all the members of the group, and I'm still part of the group.
Awesome.
And every week they share videos of how to do the swing, how to react to adversities, how we should do when we are near the hole, how we should do with the longer clubs. So they share information, they share knowledge, and this is another thing that is really important, to share knowledge, to share what we know. Sometimes we have this tendency to hide everything to ourselves so we can grow on our own.
Gatekeeping is terrible in sports. In Africa, I'm sorry to say, I'm very sorry to say, gatekeeping is a problem. It's a big problem.
If the secret also to a sustainable, long, and really nice success is if everybody grows with you.
Let's all grow together. Let's all grow together.
I believe a lot for me, and we can see this everywhere in the for example, in football. It's my passion, my work. The best football leagues in the world are for maybe, for example, the Premier League. What happens in the Premier League? They understand very well the value of co-creation. Nobody can be
beautiful.
Nobody can be, and that's the opposite of, for example, it's happening in Portugal. In Portugal, we have three big teams, and these three big teams are very selfish. They are so big that they don't want the others to grow, because if the others grow, they will take their piece of the pie.
They feel defensive, territorial.
But what happens?
It's a problem.
But what happens? Because they don't want the others to grow, they cannot grow more than what they grow themselves. They reach the peak.
Absolutely. And you can't,
So if you give up part of the pie, at least in the short term, to give to the smaller teams will get bigger. This will create a better competition. With better competition, we can all feed ourselves to keep growing. And what happens in the Premier League? They negotiate their deals as a package, as a whole, and they distribute it in a very equal way. Of course, it's not 50-50, it's not the same percentage, but it's more well distributed, the revenues.
Yeah.
And of course, it's what Man United, Chelsea, it's what generates more revenues, but abdicate part of that to give to the smaller teams so the smaller teams can grow. And co-creation helps them become even bigger and stronger. And that's why every Premier League, because every game, we never know the outcome. In Portugal, you always know Sporting Benfica will win all the games. So nobody wants to watch, for example, today.
Kills the game, ultimately. Yeah.
Porto is playing against Aroca. Nobody outside Portugal will watch this game because everybody knows Porto will win. They don't know how much, but they know Porto will win because the difference is gigantic. But if you watch a Premier League game, any team, the last team,
any team, because yes.
So then again, co-creation is fundamental. And I believe a lot of people hide for themselves. They want to grow for themselves, but they fail. But this is short-term thinking because they can only go as far as the system, the society, the community can go as well. So if you help others grow, you will go far further as well. And then again, football, give you examples of it, like the Premier League and the Portuguese League, for example.
Deep insight, Pedro. Deep, that is deep insight. Deep. You cannot argue, even if you wanted to argue against unhealthy competition. You've just killed it with this very insightful explanation. Allow the mushroom clubs, allow them to come through the system, allow them grow, because you can partner with them. You don't know where your next talent is coming from. They may not come from a horizontal, it might not be a peer-to-peer, it might be from vertical upwards. And if you keep the pipeline, if you keep that pipeline open, if you keep the pathways running, then everybody has a chance, and we have more integrity in the game. So what you said is really, really insightful. Co-creation is one of the secret hacks, but more people want to be selfish. They want to take the pie, and that pie never gets bigger. It remains small. Well, relative to, that was very insightful. Really insightful, because I was actually going to ask you a question, but you pretty much answered the question, which is, what do you think? I'm still going to ask the question. What do you think will happen to clubs, federations, associations, African-based, that refuse to co-create, collaborate, professionalize, get structure? Where will they end up in the next 10 years? That was kind of the question I was going to ask.
Well, I don't know where they're going to end up, but I'm sure if they have a more open mentality and more open mindset, there's a lot of talented young Nigerians that are perfectly capable to help them grow and become. They just need to open themselves. But unfortunately, and it's not pretty to say, but Nigeria is still, there's a lot of corruption. It's a lot of these jobs are given to friends or to connections and not based on merit.
Not to the best.
One of examples of clubs and federations that are consistently failing, but nothing changes in the leadership, nothing changes in or very little changes in that. So I think if they open to the community, there are very talented Nigerians, like some of the ones I mentioned, that are perfectly capable to come in. They have good ideas, they have the heart in the right place, they have all it takes to be successful. So it's open themselves. But for example, what's one of the problems that keeps clubs, federations, academies from reaching their full potential? It's this short-term thinking. But what is generating this short-term thinking is the fear. For example, what makes a youth academy coach not do the right thing instead of doing the right thing. First of all, it's education. If he's educated, everything changes. But the other thing is he's afraid of losing his job. So what is he going to? The main goal of a youth coach should be to develop players individually. But what happens mostly? If he doesn't win games, maybe the governor will stop sponsoring his program, and then he will lose his job. So what happens? Instead of focusing on developing the player individually, focusing on winning the game, and sometimes it's opposite to the other. The goal of youth football, of youth sports, should not be win anything. Should be just to get better every day individually. But because they are afraid to lose their job, they must focus on winning the next 5 games, so they don't lose their job. So they focus on their job instead of developing players, and the player in the end will not get developed because the coach. So it's fear. In professional clubs, of course, the objective is not to develop players individually, it's to win games. But the best way to win games is to go through that process: identity, game model, positional profiles, and everything. But all this takes time because it takes a process. Processes takes time. You need to define, then you need to train, and sometimes the result will not come. Most of the times, the result will not come on the short term. But what happens? The coach doesn't win the next 3 games. He will get fired.
It's a cycle that repeats itself. It's a vicious cycle.
Instead of focusing on building the system, he will focus just on surviving the next day.
Terrible.
And the same thing happens on the top of everything, politics, because their focus is to win the next election. So why would they care about building great schools, and if the results will be collected by the president or the governor in 10 years or 20 years? It's not them, it's not their family. So they focus on winning the next election. So they just focus on little things, on survival. And this creates fear, and fear creates the biggest impediment for sustainable development. But what changes everything? Education. Because once you have a structure that understands the power of the process takes time, then you can eliminate fear. If you eliminate fear, you will give time and confidence for the coaches, for the psychologists, for the directors, for the politicians to do the right job, because they are not to lose their job, because people will understand that the results might not come tomorrow
immediately, but
there is a process going on, and this process will generate results, and we must stay true to the process. But it's the fear, it's killed the fear of losing their jobs, and it's legit. They don't have a lot of money, they have families to support. Most people would do the same, unfortunately.
Wow.
Fear, it's what is preventing Nigeria from, and I cannot blame people,
reaching its potential, from realizing that full potential.
Then again, education, it's what kills this fear. Education is what can change everything.
It's the antidote. It's the antidote to the fear. Right?
If people understand the importance of the process, they will be patient with the process.
Fantastic.
Until then, it's going to be difficult.
You've been dropping sound bites after sound bites after sound. All I'm thinking is I need to get as many quotes and just put your picture and fear is because the way you've explained it, it's refreshed my own. Sometimes you've been on a train for so long, you might end up forgetting why you got on the train, but you have to keep going. And I love how you've refreshed my memory. You've reminded me why I'm doing what I'm doing. I hope BOS can be one of the change agents. It can be one of the reasons why people say, you know what? I don't want to think short term. I want to focus on the next 10 years by taking time to educate myself, taking time to network, learn from other people, share knowledge. I don't know the future, but if I just give myself some time, if I invest, good things can happen. And not just individuals, companies, organizations, and so on and so forth. And if we all begin to tap into this energy that you've shown today, Pedro, things will change in 2 years, 3 years. Because the sports industry is small. It's a small industry. Yeah.
I'm sure it will change. First of all, because of there is talent and there is passion.
Yeah.
Then we have these tremendous examples. I mentioned a few of them of people I knew personally that I saw with my own eyes. It's not a story I heard. I saw it happening, the change it made. So they are Nigerians. They did it. And so there is the passion, there is the talent, there are examples of success. There are people like you with creating institutions like BOS that works on the bottom of the that can resolve most of these issues. That is education, creating good programs, inspiring people, giving opportunities to at a reasonable price, because this is another big problem.
Yes, access
is not enough democratized.
Yes.
And BOS is trying to do that. So you are also one of the examples of the good things happening in Africa, in Nigeria, and you are multiplying this, creating this school, and welcoming students that want to make a difference, and inspiring students to make a difference, because it's extremely necessary, and not just for charity reasons. It's like the potential is just tremendous. So, I really believe a lot in the potential of Africa. It's not for charity, just it's like
it's not
potential to be really big, to be as big as Europe or bigger even. It's
1.5
billion people, mostly young population. Look at the potential here, the numbers here. I believe a lot in the potential. And I met these amazing people that did this with very little opportunities. So imagine if 1 billion people have the opportunity. It's mathematics, statistics.
Absolutely. Bet on Africa. It's time to bet on Africa. You know, we've been talking almost an hour, and I didn't even notice how much time has gone. It's been so riveting talking to you. Your ability to pull experiences from multiple places is what I really love about you.
I think I lost I'm not listening you very well.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Can you hear me now?
I'm listening.
You're listening now. Okay. So what I was just saying is, you know, we've pretty much come to the end of, I would say, a fantastic conversation. Pedro, this went better than, I mean, I already knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know you were going to take me on a journey of motivation, the rags to riches, inspiration, women's empowerment, leveraging tech, mindset shifting, leadership. You touched on so many areas, which tells me that education is definitely your foundation and should be everybody's foundation. So I just want to use this opportunity to say a massive thank you to you, to the organizations you represent. This is not the end, this is the beginning. I do see a lot of collaboration with you. You're a gem. We are grateful that Africa brought your parents together, and thank you for being passionate about our continent. It's your continent too. It's your continent too.
So, I'm about to be Nigerian as well.
Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. So, do you have some final comments you just want to share before we close the call?
No, just saying thank you once again for reaching out to explain me more about the work at BOS, and congratulate you on it, and wish you all the success with BOS. And also say that in any capacity I can, if I can help, I'm more than glad to try to help and make a difference.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Pedro Batista. It's been great having you, and I can't wait to either welcome you back and begin to collaborate with you. Thank you so much, and thank you to the people who joined as well. It's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.